Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. I'm Tsubaki and today I'll be telling you how to learn Japanese if you're an absolute beginner. In this video, I'm going to tell you where exactly to start learning Japanese and what to study if you just don't know what to do. Japanese is a very complex language and there are like writing systems and like different grammar rules and like lots of things to learn. So I'll be telling you where to start and I'll give you a 6-week guide on how to study the basic Japanese that you'll need, and then you'll be able to go further by yourself. First of all, you need to learn about the writing systems. So we have hiragana, katakana, and kanji. And of course, like the importance is in order. So hiragana is the most important, and then katakana, and then kanji. And also you'll need to learn basic grammar. And don't worry, I'm gonna tell you exactly what to study. And also you'll need to learn everyday vocabulary and expressions. I'm gonna explain how to study them in like the 6-week frame, but of course you can study on your own pace because everyone's learning process is different. I also made the 6-week guide into a checklist that you can print out. I'll be telling you how to get it at the end of the video, so watch until the end. So for the first week, of course, you will need to learn hiragana because it's the most important writing system and will also help you with pronunciation, because thinking about Japanese with the romanization, like with English letters, just doesn't make you have the proper pronunciation like natives. So you'll need to learn hiragana, and like that's super important, trust me. So you'll start with writing hiragana, just like learn maybe 4 to 5 a day, or like as much as you are able to. You'll need to write a lot. I use like graph notebooks to write because it has like these boxes, and it's like you can just use a grid notebook, but I just had them, so I found them very useful to write the hiragana and also the katakana and kanji, to practice like writing in like proportion, in the correct like sizes and stuff. And also you need to practice reading as well. You can just look through children books, and you can find these online. I will leave a link to a website I used to find lots of children stories in the description box if I remember to. And also in the first week you'll need to learn with hiragana basic vocabulary. Of course, you're not just gonna write letters and like don't know anything to use them in, so just learn basic vocabulary and hiragana at the same time. So the basic vocabulary that you'll need to learn is something like days of the week, how to say the months, numbers, of course, because like this is very basic. You'll need to learn directions because it's for some reason one of the first things that you learn in Japanese, and like seasons, some basic adjectives that you can learn in pairs, because this is very useful in actually usage, like not just textbook things. And also maybe colors. You'll also need to learn a few verbs so you can like express yourself. You want to learn like pronouns, all these things, and I wrote them all in the checklist, so you don't have to worry about like remembering what to learn. And just anything that you feel like curious but how to say that in Japanese, just Google it, because what's important about learning a language is like learning what you are actually gonna use. And actually I have a tip for that. Lots of people talk about language journaling, and like it's a very difficult thing, honestly, to like journal in another language, especially if you're like just starting learning Japanese, and like Japanese has like difficult writing system and stuff. It's not like that difficult, but it's like different, so you'll have to learn it. So maybe you would think like language journaling is like not for you because like it's like for advanced people, but actually not. I started language journaling just when I was still learning how to read hiragana, and it's like super useful actually. You can just like think of what you want to say like in your own language or in English or anything, and like just Google it. Stop like squeezing your mind so much. Like just, for example, you want to say I ate fish today. Just try to say it, and then like what are the words that miss you, like you don't know them, like maybe fish, or maybe how to say eat, or like you know? So it's actually very useful to build up vocabulary that you will actually need and you actually want to use. I really recommend doing this even if you're still in the beginner level or like on the 0 level, literally. And it's okay if you want to write in like romanized letters and not hiragana at first, because it's gonna be so difficult to like manage like finding the vocabulary you need and also using hiragana that you're still learning. But I would actually recommend trying your best to use hiragana in journaling even at first. The second week you're gonna practice hiragana even more. You're gonna write a lot. One of the ways that I've used is the children books that I talked about that you are supposed to read to practice your hiragana. You can actually copy the text in your handwriting and try to write it over and over again. I actually had a story called Momo Shonen or something. I literally memorized it because I was practicing hiragana that way, and it's actually a very effective way to practice because you're just copying and reading at the same time. So you're reading and writing, and that makes the sound of the letters stuck in your head and like you'll never forget it. I would like you to start with some basic grammar. Like, don't worry, Japanese grammar is like super easy. Just there are like some differences, but it's actually easy if you think about it. First things you need to learn about grammar is how to declare something, how to say that something is something, which is like very basic, like how to say I am Tsubaki, or how to say I'm a student, or how to say I'm a doctor, like whatever. And also how to say in the negative form, like I'm not a student, for example, using janai. And I would really recommend that you don't really learn the very formal forms at first. After learning the informal language, the formal language would be very easy to just switch like between those. But if you learn the formal first, it's gonna be difficult to learn the informal. So I would recommend learning the informal language first. You'll need to learn some particles, and I would say you learn only 3 at first in week 2. So they are wa and ga and mo, because these are the most important particles that are used with nouns. And you'll learn more about it if you search them up. I don't want to make the video too long, like explaining why you should learn things or like explaining what are they, but these are like the basic particles for nouns, and maybe I'm gonna make a video about particles later on. Stay tuned. 3, you are going to learn even more grammar. I like learning grammar first because it makes you be aware of the structure of the new language, especially that the Japanese structure is pretty much so much different from the English or like other European languages even. Let's just focus on grammar a bit, and I promise you that will make life so much easier later on. So for week 3, I would recommend studying adjectives, the e adjectives and na adjectives. And it's not that difficult of a lesson, but it's a little more complicated than the previous things that you've learned. That will help you a lot, like saying describing things with adjectives that you maybe learned in week 1, or like maybe build more vocabulary while studying the adjectives in grammar. So you'll learn lots of adjectives and you'll be able to describe yourself or your feeling or other people, which is actually pretty cool. And also I would recommend starting a little bit with katakana in week 3, but I want to tell you that katakana, you won't really see it a lot, especially if you're like a beginner. It's not really important. Try to like know some basic letters that are used a lot, or maybe your name and stuff like that, because maybe you'll need them, but it's not as important as hiragana at all. And I'm not saying that katakana is not important in the long run, but I'm saying that at first you don't have to pressure yourself with just how to write. I would recommend to focus on grammar and vocabulary more. And more important is to be able to speak and actually to understand how the language works, at least. And then on week 4, as you guys like, yeah, you'll learn verbs this time. I recommend, I said I recommend a lot. Please learn like the most important verbs that you will actually use. To say like how to eat, I wake up, sleep, go, ride. Again, I'm gonna tell you, you have to do language journaling, and that will really help you like choose the adjectives you want to learn, the verbs you want to learn. Some things are like important, but you won't find in textbooks like until very high levels. If you're wondering, like my level is around like N4 and like studying N3. considering like understanding and speaking. But in kanji, I'm still in 5 because I tend to forget them all. Like I can read N5 and some N4 kanji, but writing kanji. So like don't worry, I can actually speak Japanese, but like who cares about kanji? I love learning them, so I'm going with my own pace. Like I don't need to rush, you know. If you want to rush, just rush. I don't care. So for verbs, I don't really suggest that you learn the past tense because it's kind of too much conjugation. Study the non-past, which actually works as future and like present and everything you want, and learn the negative form of the non-past. And just if you want to learn a little bit, like maybe a few verbs, how to conjugate them to the past, but I wouldn't recommend that you like get that whole table and memorize it because that's way too difficult, especially at first. We want to make the process easy and we don't want any language blocks, so that will make it much smoother to progress, and you can learn that as you go, honestly. There are two types of verbs, which are ichidan verbs or like ru verbs, and also godan verbs, which are verbs, I think. It's very important to know that there are two types of verbs as well as two types of adjectives. This is very, very important, so you need to differentiate between both. Try to maybe broaden a bit, go through fruits and vegetables, places, family, like whatever vocabulary that you think you'll need. So I'm not gonna like restrict you with like certain vocabulary you want to learn like textbooks do. Just learn what you need and like what you find that you want to journal about or speak about. If you guys don't like writing, maybe like record yourself speaking in Japanese. That's gonna be so cool as well if you like to use your voice. This is like too much in week 4, but like I think you would have built the momentum and potential, so it's okay. You will learn even more particles like no, yo, to, ya, mo, blah, blah, blah. I mean, whoa, like lots of things. Try to learn more about particles in week 4, and you don't really have to like learn all of them. Like if you find a particle too difficult, just skip it, it's okay. And then finally week 5 and 6 you'll do like the same thing. You will learn important kanji. I really want to make a video about that because there are lots of kanji that you find at the beginning of textbooks that are absolutely useless and you will never find them. Like why would I learn how to say shell in kanji? Why would I say shell? I mean, it's of course important for other reasons that I don't want to like explain, so I don't want to make things difficult for you. But please like learn like super important kanji that actually is used in texts. And how to know that is to read. If you read children books, you'll find words that are not written in kanji and words that are written in kanji. This is important. These words written in kanji, this means this kanji is very important and like you need to learn it, okay? And also if you're like journaling, maybe look up some kanji for some words, and if you like find it way too difficult to write, just don't do it. If you find it simple, then probably you'll need to learn that one. And I would recommend that you like get familiar with the look of the kanji, even if you don't really know how to write it, because that's gonna be so useful, because actually kanji is so much useful in reading, even more than writing. If you don't write in kanji and like you read to yourself, it's okay if nobody's gonna read it, but when reading, kanji is very, very, very useful because it helps you structure the words, because in Japanese there are no spaces between words. So if you just write hiragana, you will never know when to end each word. I don't know if that's understandable, but sorry, my explaining is trash. You need to build up more vocab, and I would recommend like increasing the immersion at this point, like maybe watching vlogs in Japanese, watching anime if you like anime. Most people who learn Japanese like anime, so if you don't like anime, I would recommend you give it a try because it helps a lot. And I know some people will tell you don't learn Japanese from anime, because yeah, there are things in anime that don't exist. Yeah, that's real, but I really learned a lot from anime in terms of pronunciation, intonation, talking styles. Like, you know, in English not everyone talks the same. I learned that from anime as well, that not everyone talks the same, everyone has their own style and their way of talking. And also I've learned some basic words, especially if you watch slice of life anime or like school or like romance. It's gonna be a bit more understandable and you'll find words that you've actually learned, and you'll actually learn a lot from that after like finishing all the 6 weeks. For the whole program, I want you to focus on immersion, listening to podcasts. I recommend Tanaka Radio. It's really cute. If you don't understand anything, I want you to get the pronunciation of natives, the intonation, and like just how the people speak. So when you speak Japanese, it doesn't sound like your own language. So listen to podcasts. I will link Tanaka Radio in the description because I like it really, really, really much. My English is dying. I'm very sorry. Watching anime, I would recommend, as I said, school anime or like something everyday life. I don't have a specific anime in mind, honestly, but you may look up. I don't want to recommend something that turns out bad in the end. And also maybe watch vlogs in Japanese if you like watching vlogs. I mean, if you're here, probably you like watching vlogs because I do vlogs too. That would be so mean if you don't like watching vlogs. I don't really remember any channels right now, but if you look up, maybe you will find some. Practice writing a lot, whether it's hiragana or kanji or katakana. Just practice writing so you get used to the Japanese style of writing, even if your goal is not to write, but like just the flex that you can write in Japanese in school, you know. Make sure to learn the correct stroke order, because if you don't learn the correct stroke order of each character, it's gonna look a little bit off, and like it makes it much better. It looks much more professional if you write in stroke order. And of course, as I promised, the checklist for all this 6-week program, how to get it, you can DM me on Instagram. DM me Japan's flag, and this is weird, and I'm going to send you the checklist, and I promise it's so cute. I worked so hard on it, and I'm so bad at editing, so please forgive me. I'm so bad at talking, and like this is my first sit down video and I'm so stressed, so please if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, and if you don't like it, please give it a thumbs down. Bye friends, see you in another video.